They pulled up for Carlos and we're picking up bricks and bat. We thought we were gonna rumble like in the Outsiders, you know what I mean? One guy pulled his hand out and just shot one shot, took off. So we're like, punks. We just out there trying to scare us. But the friend, he got shot in the eye. And he was, like I said, still in high school, still had that innocence. And I remember just going back home, crying to my mom, screaming. I was like, you told me not to go. You told me not to go. Man, I had that guilt right there, bro. And then we go to the house to do the homies all get together after the wake, and then everybody's, where's the hyenas, the drugs, and I'm looking around, everybody's partying like back to normal. So I'm like, man. And then I was like, what did I sign up for, right? So I'm like, my heart already was out, mentally I was already out, but like physically I'm in it. I had no outlet. I don't know how to. Because you just think like, oh, what are they gonna think? Your pride, your ego. And I just remember my mom was alive at the time, my grandma was alive, and they were praying for me. And I'm in court, and I just was like, and me and some other dude, we all didn't do it. We're like, they got the wrong dudes. So I'm like, I'm just fighting the case. Let's go. He goes, Mr. Jimenez, he goes, I have a hunch you were there, but I can't hold you on my hunch. Case dismissed. And right there, bro, I was like, if I stay, I'm going to end up in prison or I'm going to die in this life. And I just said, okay, that's it. No half-stepping. Now, if somebody hits me up or whatever, I'm a family man, and I got to stick by that. And so I was just dedicated to just changing and being a dad. So I'm watching Jay Leno, and I'm watching all these interviews he's doing. And the one that, and I'm already thinking, like, man, I should try the movies. But I'm like, oh, they're going to do the background check thing and all that. And then Jay Leno, Quentin Tarantino was on there promoting Jackie Brown. Pretty much said something like, Hollywood doesn't care where you came from. Hollywood doesn't care where you came from. Like, that's it. I gotta at least try. You know what I mean?
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, boxing and MMA fans from around the world. Introducing from Bassett, California, the third man in the ring, Popeye Ray.
Hey, welcome to Third Man in the Ring. Remember, guys, I told you I want to start talking about positive outcomes of people's life, reformed gang members. I want to talk about positive things. I want to stay away from that gang banging stuff, and I don't want to glorify that lifestyle. There's nothing I could tell you that's gonna impress you. But with that said, today I got an awesome interview with a reformed gang member, turned filmmaker, youth mentor. His story has been on CNN, ABC, Fox Telemundo, Univision, New York Times, LA Times, Entertainment Weekly, and now it's going to be on Third Man in the Ring. So I want you to give a warm welcome, a Third Man in the Ring welcome to Manny Jimenez. Mind you, he's the creator and founder of Suspect Entertainment. Manny, thank you for coming on, brother.
Hey,
thank
man.
you.
Thanks for having me, brother.
So how you doing today,
honor,
bro?
It's an honor. I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm just to get up in the morning and be in our own bed. You know what I'm saying?
Tell us a little bit about Manny Jimenez.
Man, I grew up in Linwood in Huntington Park, Southgate area as a little kid. I was born into, I was a dreamer and a kid with a big adventurous kid, like from an early age. And back then, our parents kind of let us run wild. So I remember being very little, running around the neighborhood and people's backyards and riding bikes and doing all that stuff and wearing I would put on a cape with the pillowcase with the little pins, run around like I'm Superman. And my mom was always scared of I was gonna jump off because we lived in top apartments, so she's always worried I was gonna jump off. But the old school Batman, Superman, but very, very little kid in diapers. You remember certain things, but I remember just watching TV, just sitting there like that, watching TV with your legs crossed. You know what I mean? And just being fascinated with that stuff, and then as I got older, movies and all that. And then as that's happening, then you start seeing like my dad hitting my mom. And I mean, the party turned into where it went overboard, you know what I mean? It was fun, those New Year's parties and all that. And then it started becoming like where it's like my real dad started beating up my mom, you know what I mean? And then
it's hard on me.
And then you're seeing that and it's just like, you're a little kid, you don't really I don't hate my dad, but I love him. But why, you just don't understand it. And then
why is he hurting somebody I love,
Exactly. And then, but he was my dad. You know, your dad's your hero. You know what I'm saying? He's your hero. And then my mom and him, like, they would break up and make up, and then she started being with my stepdad. She kind of went back and forth for a little bit, and then I just didn't want nothing to do with my stepdad. I had a wall up from him from very early on, like, you're not my dad, whatever. But we were little kids, and then once my mom got married, they were gonna get married, and I remember we lived in Linwood by the hospital over there on what is it, St. Francis?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I remember being real little and banging my head against the door, like, just mad, and I didn't know how. When I look back at it, it was like, oh, my dad's not, like, she's getting married. My dad's out the picture for good now, so he's never coming back, right? Because it was all that back and forth. And then, so that was like, that's where a lot of anger started. And then that was it, you know. And then he started, he never molested me or nothing, but I felt very bullied, you know. I felt very belittled, and he did his best from how he was raised. And I just grew up just hating him. I never one bit felt love for this man, just hated him. And then, so I was the oldest of them. And my younger brother, to me, I always thought my brother was good with him, you know what I mean? But as I got older, he wasn't really either. But he's like, hey, you left me there when I left into the neighborhood stuff. I saw, like, oh, man. Then my little sisters were that's their real dad. So they grew up, and then I loved them. I never like, oh, you're, you know, but for sure they got special treatment in my eyes. Yeah. The two little girls, you know what I mean? And that's just what it was. So to me, it was always like they were like I was. They had a family. They had this loving family, which was my mom, my stepdad, the two daughters, and my younger brother. And I was just like not part of that.
Is it fair to say there was constant conflict with you and Dad?
The whole time. But it was weird. I just never felt like I was part of that family. It was just like I felt shut out. So part of it was like my mom couldn't even serve me food. I had to serve myself. Just started right away trying to make me grow up. And again, I know he meant well, and I'm going to tell you how I feel now as I got older. But at the time, I just, you know, he was like, "You're gonna wash your." I just hated him. Look, man. In my head, and when I got older, the anger was just burning. I'm like, I'm gonna hurt this guy really bad. Yeah, exactly. And we did eventually, but it was just constantly this and that, and yelling and fighting and choking each other out. And you know, I remember my he kept bugging me. Like, I still to this day don't like yard work because he brings trauma. Yeah, it brings up trauma. But you know, he passed away, and like I remember not too long ago, I went to visit him, and I'm cleaning his gravesite, cutting the thing, and I'm like, man, Kenny got me cutting the grass.
Yeah. still got influence on you.
But there was one time, like, he kept saying, I wanted to cut my hair, you know, with the machine, and he goes, no, do the lawn. And I just like, no, I don't want to do the lawn. I want to cut my hair. And he got the haircut clippers, and he hit him with the hammer, right? Oh. And I was like, oh yeah. And I went and got a brick, and he loved this van that he kept since he was a youngster. So I got a brick, and I busted out the front windshield, and I said, "Oh yeah, mother effer," you know. And I took off running, and I was like, "Oh man, I'm down running away, trying to live with different people." And then my mom and my brother like, "Oh, when are you gonna come back home?" So we were always just bumping heads, the anger. But through the whole time, it was like movies. Movies was very hopeful. You know, Back to the Future, Outsiders, all those movies it kept me very hopeful. Had no idea, like since an early age, I felt like I could do something there has to be more than this, that I could do something special. I just didn't know what. And you can't really say that out loud, or if you still, I feel special, he sounds arrogant, you know what I mean? And I didn't even know how to articulate it at the time. I just knew that I felt there has to be more than this. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then I got into skateboarding and breakdancing, then skate, and I was like real dedicated to all that stuff. And then I'm angry. I'm still angry. Then I start hanging around with other angry youngsters, right? Yeah. And their families are all from a neighborhood and all that, and you just start hanging around. I mean, you know, in the beginning of the lifestyle, the gangster lifestyle, it's a seduction. Yeah. It's all fun. It's all fun. Girls. I mean, look, I was this little nerdy skater kid, couldn't get any girls. You join a gang, all of a sudden you could get a girl, right? Yeah. And then I want to go for a joyride. It's just very, very subtle, you know what I mean?
Baby steps into madness.
Yeah, and then you don't know, you know what I mean? Nobody tells you all that other part. So like, oh yeah, by the way, you know. Yeah. So now I'm like in the neighborhood. I'm in G rides, and it's fun. And then I remember there was one homeboy's house was always getting shot up. It was like his whole generation was in the neighborhood, his mom, his grandparents, and the mom would let us all hang out there in the garage and party because for her point of view was like, oh, they're at home safe.
They're at home.
But my mom was like,
yeah,
but that was a house that was just always getting shot up and everything. And then one day, and so I was kind of like producing back then. I didn't really know, but I was like, I got some girls, I got a house, this guy's gonna bring the beer, this guy's gonna bring the dope, and we're all gonna party at this house. And then my mom just told me, son, I have a bad feeling. Don't go over there today. And I'm like, nah. I just didn't want to hear nothing. I pretty much shut out my mom and stepdad. Just anything I had to say, I didn't want to hear nothing. Yeah. I thought I knew it all. You know, when we're young, you think you're Superman, and you know, you just.
And how old were you at this time?
Oh,
if you can remember?
15, 16. You know what I mean? It was.
I even think there's an old saying: if you want to know something, ask your 15-year-old teenager. They know everything.
Yeah, that's true. And so I didn't want to hear nothing. I just thought I was invincible, and I was only like a year in, like. That was officially from the neighborhood, you know. And then we go to so I pick up my friend. I call him my friend because, you know, there's homeboys and there's your friends, you know. So I pick up my friend. I'm already in continuation school, got kicked out of high school. He's still in high school, so hasn't crossed over. I call it like crossed over to the dark side yet, right?
Okay, no.
My son had me watch Star Wars not too long ago, and I go, oh, this is a gangster movie, right?
That's right.
The dark side of that. But So I go pick up my friend. A few people that day just were like, hey, just stay around here. And I'm like, nah, I'm going to go over here. We got these girls, you know, lined up. And we go over there. And usually when you got a bad feeling, well, I mean, I guess I was still too young to understand about instincts. My mom was always telling me that. But usually you see like a suspicious car creeping up, so everybody's trucha, right?
Yeah.
But this time I was weird. It was like they just like appeared right there.
This was the era of the heyday of drive-bys.
Oh, yeah, it was the 80s. Yeah. It was like, I want to say 87, 88. Maybe 89, to somewhere in there, but it was definitely the 80s. I want to say 88, exactly. And then they pulled up for Carlos, and we're picking up bricks and bat. We thought we were gonna rumble like in the Outsiders, you know what I mean? What's up, you know? And then one guy pulled his hand out and just shot one shot. Not even a ta 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 ta. It was just boom, one took off. So we're like, punks. We just out there trying to scare us. But the friend Gerardo Rivas, rest in peace, that took him. He got shot in the eye.
Wow.
And he was, like I said, still in high school, still had that innocence. Even his demeanor, he was still had an innocence to him. He got shot in the eye. They took him to the hospital. He passed away. And I remember just going back home, crying to my mom, screaming. I was like, you told me not to go. You told me not to go. Man, I had that guilt right there, bro. Oh, man, it you know, it took me, man, we didn't, you know, they didn't know about going to grief counseling and prayer back then, or you know, mental health, PTSD and all that, what that causes. I just was like, it just filled up more rage, you know what I'm saying? And then I just went, and I remember going to the services, and then you're there, and of course Jerry's family's, you know, crying and all that, but like you see all the homies there. You know, again, looking back with what I know now, like he got in, he's not even a year in. I got about a year in. So really, like, did they really love us? Not really. They don't even really know us. I knew him because we went to school together and grew up together. So I'm crying. Like, as far as like the homies, I'm the only one crying, like crying. You know what I mean? And then we go to the house to do the after. You know, the homies all get together after the wake, and then everybody's. Where's the hyenas, the drugs, and I'm the only, and I'm looking around, everybody's partying like back to normal. So I'm like, man. Then it was like, you know, what did I sign up for, right? Yeah. And I remember just being like, and kind of like disappointed and shocked, and all. Again, you don't know how to articulate all that when you're young. You just have all these emotions and thoughts. And then one homeboy, he was a little bit older than us. He just took me outside. He goes, hey man, he goes, I know you're down. Like, so when that happened, there was a group of us, pretty much everybody in our group like scattered and just like, this ain't for me, and they just went and lived their lives. And
so could you say it was kind of like a wake-up call for some of them?
For some of them it was a wake-up call, and some of them were considered like, they're lames, they left, and some of them just became family men and were dedicated to that, so people left them alone. But there's some of them that were still try to do their little thing, little street stuff on the side, so they're kind of made a bad name for themselves because they're saying, I don't want to be part of this, but then they kind of did.
Trying to
trying to
do
half step.
both sides. Yeah.
And then
there you
were,
go, half step. I like that.
Yeah, and so then some were like very like, hey man, this ain't for me. They just went on to be a family man, and they still live there. Nobody messed with them, you know. So I bring all that up to make a point later. But for me, when the homeboys took me out, the one homeboy took me outside. He goes, hey, I know you're down. He looked me in the eye, looked at me, I know you're down and all that. Like, you got to pass right now to get out, take off. And I was like, F that, I'm gonna get these fools. You know what I mean? I was just so angry.
Yeah.
When I look back, though, it was pride and fear. You know what I'm saying? Pride and fear, because that was my chance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was a chance to not break my mom's heart. At the end of the day, really, like, I broke her heart. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that affected, as a father, I can't even imagine that. You know what I mean? Like, what that does to a parent. You know what I mean? So then, when my friend died, I was so young, I didn't know about checking in with the family. I just was like, I was so tangled up with my rage and my anger. And so the family ended up, the mom died of a broken heart. His mom died like a year later. You know, it affected the whole family, generations. And the sisters were like 7 years old when that happened, and we reconnected, and I'll get to that. But they grew up hating me. They're adults now, of course, you know, it's been a long time. But at the time, they were like 7 years old, and they remember they got the call. And the mom was, and they told me that whole night, the mom was looking out the window saying, I have a bad feeling. God, man, I heard that, man, it was heartbreaking. So I didn't forgive myself for many, many years. I just lived with that guilt. And then I just stayed in there, got caught up more. And then, you know, another homie died. And then like homies died that they were like youngsters that I bullied in. Like, you're going to be right here. Like, you're getting from the hood. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Touch them up there in the hood. And then next thing you know, they died. Man, now I got to go face somebody's mom. And then it's, you know what I mean? And then you almost kind of like can't even love your homeboys anymore, because you know we're all going to die with this thing, you know what I mean? And then I started seeing the betrayal within their own neighborhood. You know what I mean? Like homies messing with homies' wives and they're in there. And I'm young, so I'm seeing some older dudes doing that. So I was like, man, what's going on here? Or I seen dudes that, some of them passed away. So, I mean, like, we were like, when it was down to like taking care of business, I just seen some dudes that I thought were like straight up G's. Like, I seen them piss their pants, you know what I mean? And I was just like, you know what I mean? Like, man, what's going on here? You know, I'm like, I was in it to like ready to die for this thing. And then I see all these, then everybody getting in it like I am. So I'm like, what the heck am I doing? You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where it started, like thinking like, man, it ain't what it is. And then I remember going to an adult jail. I turned 18, and now because I went to juvenile hall camp and all that. Then I go to adult substation, and an enemy dude tried to shake my hand, and I said, I ain't trying to shake your hand, homie. I kind of threatened them. You know, if we're on the street, I'm gonna boop 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 boop. You know, and he goes, no, youngster, we don't do that in here. And he started kind of telling me about how the county jail and prison works, and no one really schooled me on that point yet. So I'm just like, so I get out, I start telling some of the older homies, hey man, you know, I met this dude, he said this and this, and go, oh yeah, when you go to prison, you know, we all stick together. So I'm like, well, what's the point of gangbanging then?
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Let me get some water too.
That's right, huh? Nobody gave me that info, you know?
Yeah, they didn't lay out the whole the plan. So I'm kind of like, what the heck? So now I'm in it. I'm stuck. You know what I mean? I'm already, you know what I mean? I know how to use this and that, and I'm running the streets, and I got good at being a criminal, let's just say. And but my heart already was out. Mentally, I was already out, but like physically, I'm in it. I had no outlet. I don't know how to. Because you just think like, oh, what are they going to think? Your pride, your ego, what are they going to think? So no one really. But then I started remembering, like when some homies came to me, like I said, the ones early on that I went and become family men, and along the way I had homies come to me like, hey, I want to be a dad and go, buy a house with my lady or whatever. I was like, cool, just don't half step. Homies, I got you. Just go do your thing and don't be. But then someone come back on the weekends and want to be right there with the homegirls and all that, and those guys will get in trouble, because they were half stepping. So I already knew about half stepping. So I just knew that, like, I had dudes catch me slipping when I had my kids in the car, you know what I mean? And I was like, hey, homie, I got my kids in the car, you know what I mean? And it's the dudes that it was like on site, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But one dude, they were solid. Some of them were real solid. They looked, see my kid, all right, and they just leave me alone.
Catch you another time.
Yeah, that's it. And then another time, that same guy, I caught him at 2 a.m, and I had a carload. You know what I mean? And I just told him, hey, man, you didn't disrespect me with having my kid. I'm gonna give you a pass. You know what I mean? So there was solid dudes from other hoods where we just start. All right, there's still that respect thing, but there was some dudes that, dude, I was with my grandma before, reached in the car over my grandma trying to punch me and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So those dudes, they just didn't have. So I already knew, like, okay, they weren't schooled. You know what I mean? So, anyways, the bottom line is, so in the early '90s, I get busted for a crime I didn't do. And my stepdad used to tell me, if you're hanging around, you're just, I was like, I ain't trying to hear all that. And then I get busted for something I didn't do. I'm like, man, this fool knew what's up. Because he's from, my dad and my stepdad, they were from Primera Flats. You know what I mean? They're old school.
Yeah.
So he was schooling me, but he just didn't, it's not what he said. He said it was how he said it throughout the years, which became one of my bad habits. And I remember fighting this case. Got bound over to Norwalk, Norwalk, you're right there. And I'm just like, man, like, and I remember going up
it's a hanging court.
Yeah,
too,
and to me and another homie, and we're just looking like, I guess, this is it. We're going to prison and all that. But the thing is, for me, bro, the one thing that I did right, I mean, of course, luck and prayer and everything, but like, I did meth maybe twice when I was a teenager, acid twice, and that was it. It wasn't for me. Drinking a little bit, but I just never. I was in it. I was more in it. I got my kick was the adrenaline rush, the high speed chase. I feel bad about all that stuff, but at that time, all that was fun. You know what I mean? The joy riding and all that. But so to me, like, when it's time I'm fighting this case. Oh, I say all that. Like, I always was like, just, my mom always told me about my incidents. I started reading my transcripts. I'm like, I told my homie, like, hey, they don't got nothing on us. Like, I'm reading it and reading it and reading it. I was like, they ain't got nothing on us. And one of the dudes that really did what we were accused for said, I'll turn myself in. I'm like, bro, then we're all gonna get busted. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. This is how it is. But I remember we're in court and they, they're saying everything in Norwalk, and then they take us up and the bailiff says, hey man, he goes, I could tell you guys are innocent. He goes, but think of all the stuff you guys got away with. And I was like, damn, like, you know what I mean? Like, dang, you just start thinking. So it's one of the, it's in the scene. Remember the scene that I sent you? And so you just start thinking. So I'm like, I'm not signing no deal. This other guy, the public defender's coming in, and he tells you guys, the deal's one like for 15 years. I was like, bro, they don't got nothing. I'm not signing nothing. And my crime, he's took a deal. Right? They come back out, dismiss, and they have him sign his paperwork to go to prison. And I got dismissed. And I'm like, and he just, his face, you know what I mean? And it changed the course of his life and all that. And he's doing good now, but it took a minute. He had to go back and forth, violations, all that. For me, I got out, and then I get back, I'm back in the dirt doing my thing, whatever. Then years later, like I said, I'm already checked out. Like, I get busted again for something I didn't do, right? But this time I'm already like tired. I'm like, this is all, it's not. I like I said, I have friends and I have homies. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. It's a different thing. And so now I get arrested. I have 2 daughters from my ex-wife. I'm with my wife. She's still my wife at the time. We're just together, and she's pregnant with my son. And I said, all right, I'm fighting this case, and I'm the same thing. It was almost like identical. The guy that really did, like, yeah, I'll turn myself in. I'm like, no, this is what it is, man. And I go to court, and now I'm just like praying. I look, when I'm hiding from the cops back in the days, God, let me get out of this. I won't do it.
We all make those praying promises.
Like I remember being on a rooftop in the puddle of water, just still like this the whole night, 24 hours till the birds came out and the sun, and then hear kids going to school, and then you get cocky. You do it again, or hiding in a pigeon coop or whatever. But I really was like tired now. You know what I mean? And I just remember my mom was alive at the time, my grandma was alive, and they were praying for me, and I'm in court, and I just was like, and me and some other dudes, we all didn't do it. We're like, they got the wrong dudes. And a lawyer mentor helped me. She's like, hey, they picked you out of a lineup. She's, it's going to take a miracle. The little photo lineup. It was like the Law and Order, and I'm like, dang, well, why is this, I'm like, oh, the Hooters are, they're you start thinking all these things, and so I'm like, I'm just fighting the case. Let's go. And then the guy, there was a guy it was a gang member that turned informant. They flew him in on a helicopter. He comes on the stand. It was like a movie, bro. And he points everybody else out. and like nothing. But then he gets to me, and I'm praying on my hardest I've ever prayed in my life. I'm like, I'm done. If I get a shot, I will not half step. You know what I'm saying? I'm. And the guy gets to me and he just goes, you know what? I think I made a mistake. Remember, he had just pointed me out in the photos, right? Like earlier that day. He goes, no, Your Honor, I think I made a mistake. And the day he comes, are you scared of them? Are they threatening you? Blah, blah, blah. And he says, no. He goes, the guy that did it looks like him in the photo. So then I finally seen the photo they had. They had a photo of me like 16 years old, all skinny. And I was like, and then I had already like gained weight. I'm wearing my Dockers and grow out my hair, your court clothes. And I'm just like, man. And next thing you know, the judge goes, no, he's not scared. He pointed everybody else out all right, And then my lawyer ran with that. She's like, hey, based on the terms of the testimony, blah, 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 blah. And then he just says, Mr. Jimenez, his name was Judge Rudy Reese. He was an East LA judge that they brought in. This was happening in Whittier Courthouse. He goes, Mr. Jimenez, he goes, I have a hunch you were there. It was like slow motion. I have a hunch you were there. He said, but I can't hold you on my hunch. Case dismissed. And right there, bro, I was like, if I stay, I'm going to end up in prison or I'm going to die in this life. I already been in it long enough.
Moonwalk like Michael Jackson out of there?
And I just, exactly. And I just felt like, it was like the, and I just said, like, hey, that's it. No half stepping. Now, if somebody hits me up or whatever, I'm a family man and I got to stick by that. Yeah. So I remembered all those things we talked about. Boom, family man, no half stepping. Just do this, be dedicated to being a father. And what's anybody going to say to that? Hey, I didn't rat. There's other homies in their courtroom that were like, and I seen them laughing, looking at me, and I just stayed straight. Like, I wasn't trying to like do the head nod or nothing, because, I knew them, but I didn't want the court to know that I know them, But I knew the guy who did it, and he kept going, and we ended up kind of changing lives, because if that didn't happen to me, I would have kept going. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. And this dude kept going. He ended up getting like the death penalty later on or whatever. So it was a trip. So I just dedicated myself.
It's hard to stop that track when you're on it. It tends to go in circles.
Yeah, and then if you don't have mentors really like teaching you. Well, I call the way I teach it now to youngsters is this: in the military, there's honorable and dishonorable discharge, right? Mm-hmm. So I always tell people like, there's a way to move on from the neighborhood with honor, but you have to be dedicated. You can't have to you got to really be, and you got to be mentally strong, because it does mess with you for the first 2 or 3 years, maybe 5. Oh, what are they gonna think and all that? But again, my friends co-signed. We got you, go ahead. And then a couple of homies talk smack, and I let that get to me and all that. But
we want to also thank our friends at CalStar Roofing. CalStar Roofing specializes in residential roofing, installing concrete roofing tiles and composition asphalt shingles. They have been serving the Inland Empire for over 31 years. Call on CalStar Roofing for all of your roofing needs. Thank our friends at CJ Smiles. CJ Smiles is an organization that supports families dealing with childhood cancer by providing financial support and gifts with the hope of putting a smile to children with fighting cancer. CJ Smiles started in memory of CJ Delfossi, who was diagnosed with rhabdomyosarcoma in 2019. CJ loved to laugh, tell jokes, play soccer, and video games. He had the best smile. For 2.5 years, he battled cancer with chemotherapy, radiation, multiple procedures, extensive hospital stays, and had relapsed twice. CJ gained his angel wings at the age of 10 years old. This sponsor, when it came in, it pulled some heartstrings, I have to admit. I'm an oncology nurse, and this one hit home. So again, it pulled my heartstrings, and I really want to thank you guys for your support and what you do in the community.
The end of the day was, in time, they all they all see what I do, and they're like, hey, hook us up, dog. Yeah. We'll hook you up. We'll get you in the movies. And so I was just dedicated to just changing and being a dad. And I didn't have my dad, so I knew I'm going to be
a better dad.
Be there for my kids and all that. And then like a year, so I'm trying to find different regular jobs, and have you been convicted of a felony and all that, and I still look like a gangbanger, so finally Toys R Us hired me, and I was still kind of like, what am I gonna do? Should I go to the military? But I don't like waking up too early, And then should I go back I just didn't know what I want to do. I just know I got to do something, because like I used to make money. I had little jobs or whatever, but I was used to easy money. You do this and that and you make money, easy come, easy go. So I was like, I can't make money illegal anymore. At this point, I got no driver's license, no bank account, no car. I was completely starting from scratch. All I had was my lady, who's my wife, who freaking stuck by me through the lowest times of my life, right? And her mom, and they had let me hide out there when I was wanted from the cops, and then she's pregnant, and their mom's like, all right, just stay here, And then and so I just like, okay, I gotta be there she's 4 months pregnant. I'm trying to be a dad, but what am I gonna do? Like, I'm working with all these youngsters. I'm working at Toys R Us. All these youngsters are going to college. Like, that's their little side gig, right?
Yeah.
And this is my only gig, So I'm like, man. So I always went back to the childhood dream of movies, and then I would watch. I'll work at night so we could get her mom's car and come back, and she had her drive me. And she's pregnant driving me. I feel like a loser, straight up. Yeah. You're a man, you know what I mean? You're supposed to be, you know what I mean? And I just felt like, so I'm watching Jay Leno, and I'm watching all these interviews he's doing, and the one that, and I'm already thinking, like, man, I should try the movies, but I'm like, oh, they're going to do the background check thing and all that. And then Jay Leno, Quentin Tarantino was on there promoting Jackie Brown. And I've already been a fan of Reservoir Dogs and all his movies. But he says, like, he pretty much said something like, Hollywood doesn't care where you came from. Hollywood doesn't care where you came from. You could come to, they take down anybody, right? That's what I heard, and that's what I remember. And I was watching all these interviews of his story. He was an outsider of Hollywood, no connections, and just worked his way up. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, it's like, we got to, there it is there. That, man, if that, like, that's it. I got to at least try, you know what I mean? So I got so remember, no internet, no GPS, old school Thomas guide, right? It was like 97, 98. And, all my family was like, you're a skater, you're a breakdancer, you're a gangster, now you're going to go work in movies. They all kind of laughed at me, and I forgave them all, they just didn't know. But I got clowned a lot, you know what I mean? But I was like, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to do it. So we would go, and the whole thing I knew was, I remember going back to my mom when we were young. She would get excited and see movie trailers through downtown LA or whatever. I even found an old VHS tape of my mom. I was hoping to see her, but I could hear her voice filming. And it says, oh, look, they're filming a movie. That was always like her saying. So every time we see one, that's like a thing. Oh, look, they're filming a movie. Like, the trucks just, I get excited, dude. That
the yellow sign at the corner.
Yeah, the yellow, man. I mean, you look at it's a little, the excitement I used to get, again, I'm not proud of any of that, but I used to get excited gangbanging and joyriding. There was a thrill in that. There's a seduction. There's a adrenaline with that until people got hurt. That I feel bad about that. But so filmmaking became that thing where I felt the same thing. I felt alive. But now, like, nobody's getting hurt. Now, like, man, you could do this thing and help people. Like, it's beautiful, So I told her, drop me off. And I'm gonna go around the block till I come back on. So remember, she's pregnant, driving around the block just in circles, and I'm trying to get up on movie sets, and I'm getting shushed away. Finally, a guy gives me a number to a place called Central Casting. It was called Senex Casting at the time. I called
Burbank,
it. In Burbank, yeah. And I remember back then there was no internet, so they're like, you got to call and listen to a recording. It was you really have to be so dedicated to this. Because they make you jump through hoops, this whole system. And they still do, and I still am, you know what I'm saying? But I'm a little bit smarter now, you know what I mean? That's right. And so I did it. And it was cool because how can I teach that if I have not been through it myself, right? So I went through it, and it's like, just like you fill out a little application, just like a contact sheet. And not once does it say, have you been convicted of a felony? They don't care. You could actually write that you've been, and that'll help you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
But with that said, Manny, I remember when I watched Boulevard Nights.
Yeah.
I mean, that, as far as I remember, that was kind of like, I thought to myself, not all the actors were righteous homies. Yeah. Some of them were actors, Yeah. And no disrespect to them. They did well, but some of the parts in, I go, those ain't really homeboys there, eh?
Yeah.
Why would they not use real homeboys, eh? That's why when I finally met you, I like, wow, But tell us how Suspect Entertainment came about.
It started out, so once I'm on a set, it started out with just helping homies. That's it. Hey, I was like, oh shit, they don't free food, and they don't ask you if you've been convicted of a felony. I'm like, I start telling everybody.
Real quick. Yeah. Tell me about that little video that you sent me.
The pilot, yeah.
The pilot.
I had experienced all this stuff through Suspect Entertainment, be able to write about that. Like, so as I get in there, early on, I knew I want to write a script one day, but I felt very low confidence because of my high school dropout, spelling and all that. So I start Suspect Entertainment. We start getting homies on. We should start a company. I'm like, what kind of name? Okay, Suspect Entertainment. we get all kinds of homies on set. And it was all fun and games, you know, like back to square one. Everybody starts doing this crazy stuff, you know what I mean? Carving in the restroom, stealing clothes, stealing food. I mean, look, I used to steal food too, but
well, Manny got me on a I don't know if it was CSI.
Emilio introduced us.
Well, yeah, Emilio Rivera introduced us, but you got me on set. But I remember you had told me, hey, Holmes, no gangbanging on set, eh? You know what I mean? Because even though I was already older, you know, I still wanted to represent my barrio. And when I got on set, man, I really seen some righteous vatos, you know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I felt like, you know, I got to stand my ground, and, you know, but I dig the way you took control. You treated us all fair. You know, you spoke to us all in the right way. And there was a lot of respect. So I kind of, you know, it was cool. I like that. I just wanted to point that out.
Oh, thank you, man. Yeah, you know, it was those times where it was very, like, I mean, look, I was schooled right, man. You know what I mean? Like, I just know, like, if you respect people, you look them in the eye, like, you can't go wrong with that. And it's just the way you do it. It's the way you do it. And I know that when I got in the industry, I got belittled and disrespected. And I threatened a couple of people in the early days, you know, like production people. And some people apologize. And after a while, like, man, they're either going to call security or they're going to apologize. Yeah. So I just had to learn how to do it. But within homies, like, I knew already, hey, homie. And if
you knew how to talk to them.
I know how to talk to them, because that's like, I'm that, you know, I'm one of you guys, you know what I mean? And I think it all gel like that. But behind the door, some guys didn't take it well. They were doing stuff behind my, getting high and all that. And after like 10 years of managing guys, I became a real manager. Some guys were booking, like, you know, Breaking Bad and Fast and the Furious and a lot of independent movies. But after a while, I went back to, like, what I want to make my own movie one day, you know what I mean? And it just became a lot of stress. Yeah. You know, like, you're trying to balance family. You're trying to, you know, have my son now. And I started taking my son, you know, taking my son to work kind of. He grew up on set, you know. He's 25 now, and he's an actor. He's been part of SAG. He has actually at the same agency as Emilio and Trejo. And so he's you know, he really knows the stuff. But he grew up on set. I grew up around all these guys working.
Can we say his name?
Yeah, Manny Jimenez Sr. Yeah.
Oh, all right, all right.
Yeah, really proud of my son. He's so further along at his age than when I was. Look, I didn't get my head out of my butt till I was like in my 40s. You know,
well, with that said, and this isn't an excuse, Manny, but do you think the Raza has more openings in Hollywood than when in our days? I'm a lot older than you. I'm 60, so do you think now? Like I bring up Boulevard Nights. Yeah. You know, now they're actually hiring.
Well, I think this is what I think what it is. The people in Hollywood back then, they did what they had, right? But the thing is, we didn't have writers, directors. You know, I mean, those are the ones that are in charge. I mean, the studios are in charge. But if you got a writer director so I'm one of you guys. I started learning how to write and direct as I transitioned. I worked as a consultant on Training Day and so many other movies that I don't want to name, because what I'm about to say is that. So I worked on all these, not Training Day was a good experience, but there's these other movies that I worked on where I'm working with the director trying to get it right. And then we watch the movie and it's like, oh man, like, I don't even want to tell people I worked on this thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. So then I was like, if I want it done right, I got to learn how to write and direct. And I remember this producer came at me all crazy, like, oh, I could get any homies that come on set. Like, oh, no, you can't. They'll rob you. They'll take all your camera stuff. I could learn everything that you know. I could learn that. You could never learn the pain that I experienced. And I never worked with that fool again. You know what I mean? So I started learning. You know, I'm like, okay, I've worked on this business enough. We used to get the cars, the locations, all these things. We're pretty much, I was a producer in training, doing that, learning all this stuff, putting out fires, like managing actors is one thing, managing homie actors. Okay, you know, I remember I had talked to them. Little something there, huh? Yeah, and everybody was always like, hey man, don't talk about audio stuff, because here's the thing, if you get all kinds of homies together and you start talking about, this is what somebody hurt somebody's family member. It's just not. Just don't talk about this stuff. Talk about the future. You know what I mean?
And then this goes back to why I wanted to interview you. You know, we all know about varios and all that, but I kind of want to stay away from that. I don't want to glorify gangbanging and killing. I want to glorify how the positive has came from that unity. Yeah. We as Raza need, and this is me talking now. We need to stop hating on each other. We need to help. And this is why when you brought me on set, Manny chin checked me one time. You know what I mean? Let me tell you the story. Quick story.
I don't even remember.
A director had came, as far as I'm concerned, remembering he went around your back. I don't know if he was a director or producer. To be honest, I don't know the difference. He came to me and asked me, how should we do this? And after I sat there and pretty much spilled the beans, you came up to me and you said, let me talk to you, Ray, Popeye. You know, you pulled me aside and you go, listen, you're here with Suspect Entertainment. When they ask you something, direct them to me. This is how we're going to grow. You didn't say this is how I'm going to grow. You say this is how we're going to grow. And that's when I said, this guy's for us. Yeah. He's not for himself. He's for us. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he did it with respect, but firm. He looked me in the eye. He goes, when they want to ask for advice, direct them towards me. That's what we're here for. This is how we're going to grow. Because if not, and this is the way I took it. And again, this is Ray talking. They're just going to want to get free stuff.
Yeah.
And they're not going to let us grow. Just, keep them down. And this is like 15, 20 years ago.
And I don't even remember that, bro.
You know what I mean?
What a trip, yeah.
But that was cool. I thought to myself, this guy's real, man. This guy's real, man. And I appreciate that,
Oh, thank you, man. Appreciate that.
This goes back to my own personal thing. If you got need any fat, ugly guys, Holmes, I'm your man, Holmes. You need to be in a movie, eh?
Nah, you're taking care of yourself, man. You look good. It was always that. No matter, look, sometimes some homies did some stuff that's that was not even really that bad. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just stuff you didn't know. You're trying to be helpful. But there's some guys no matter what, I had to come at them right. It's just what it is. You just can't come at the home. And so when I would see it in productions, I go, hey, you can't be talking to us like that. You might talk to your wife, or I had it out with people. You talk to your wife and assistant, whatever. You shouldn't talk to them like that either. Yeah. But you ain't gonna do that to us. Yeah, we'll walk off the set. There was times where we all got our stuff. We're ready to walk up the set. And they're like, hey, what's going on? Hey, your people want to pay or they don't want to do this. This is what it is. You know what I mean? So I had already made a reputation. I pretty much I cherry picked the good qualities in the neighborhood and put them into Hollywood, which is respect.
Yes.
Right. Keep your word. And if we all fall short, just say, hey, Spencer, I apologize, and then we could but change the behavior. You can't keep apologizing for the same thing. Yes. You have to apologize. There needs to be a change. Yeah, there needs to be a change. And if we disagree, respectfully disagree. And I remember one of the guys was we would talk, and sometimes he would get real loud and move his hands and just make me feel uncomfortable. And I remember oh man, it's not the right time. But I was like, when he's calm in my head, I'm like, I need to talk to him and say, hey, you're making me uncomfortable. So I did. I said, hey, bro, sometimes when we're having to talk about a thing that we probably don't see eye to eye on, you start getting. And I feel like you're going to take off of me. So,
yes. I was just going to say that I would take it the same way.
So then I feel like, then I got to take off first. And on the day we have to go to the backyard and fight, this whole thing's going to crumble.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And he goes, oh, bro. He didn't want to even realize it. He goes, nah, bro, no. And he never did it again because I came at him right and he got it. And he's like, and we're just he became one of my closest friends. And the whole thing is that, I heard things years later that so-and-so did fought or whatever, or they got into a thing. But me, I've never had to get in a fight with anybody. We just don't see eye to eye. We go our own ways. And it was always that respect thing. And then some of us had fallouts early on. And then we look back, we were young, whatever. Now we're closer than ever. So, it's just about, the whole thing is this, man, everybody has to go, our culture's so especially the youngsters, they don't know, man, you're going to go to prison for life and you have to hang out and be friends with your enemies. That's just what it is. And a lot of people don't know about that. So it's if that's the case, why not be cordial out here and work together? Yeah. Especially if you want to come in Hollywood, they don't care where you came from. You could be open about your past. You don't want to be bragging about it, but boom, let's just make it work and grow. Let
me ask you this, Manny. Where is Suspect Entertainment today?
Suspect Entertainment today is I'm not a manager anymore, but I still mentor. I'm a writer, director, producer, and I wrote a few scripts. A couple of things are on YouTube. You can look me up on YouTube, Manny Jimenez Sr. And they got in the millions of views, which I didn't know that was a big deal. My son's telling me all this stuff,
Yeah.
But so I wrote all the stuff I just told you about, all this stuff. I wrote it into a TV series, and I wrote a script. I went to school for it, UCLA Extensions.
Wow.
I got my first A+ in my whole life. Age 35, right. Dude. I was like, I was walking with my chest. I was like, maybe I can do this.
You're 6'5" that day.
Yeah.
That's right.
Exactly. So I built up my confidence, and then I knew, like I said, I knew how to represent us because I'm one of you guys, right? I'm one of the guys. So then I started learning. Okay, they first it was like, we want your life rights. Here's some money. I'm like, nah, I'm not. He ain't gonna buy me out. I'm gonna learn to do this. I learned how to write, and they were like, "We need to direct." I'm gonna learn how to direct. I'm gonna learn how. I hired myself. You know what I'm saying?
So that's your next goal?
That's what I've been doing the last 10 years is working on my craft, and then I'm trying not to put out just anything. I'm putting out real. Like I worked on other people's things to pay the bills and to grow and learn. But when it comes to the things that I'm gonna put my name on as a writer director, like it has to be better than the last thing.
That's awesome.
You know what I'm saying?
Everything's got to get better.
It's got to get better. If it's not growing, then it's like I'm not gonna release it.
Well, it's just like the pilot you sent me.
Yeah,
that was done. I mean, I go, that's righteous, bro.
All right.
You know what I mean, it wasn't done like with a little hand phone. It looked nice.
Yeah, thank you. We shot it
like a little movie, Holmes.
Yeah, we shot it on a professional camera, and we had sound like which HBO, Netflix standard. That's because here's to me like. Yeah, I'm not Martin Scorsese or Tarantino and all those, but
not yet, at least.
Then I'm working hard.
That's right.
The whole thing, but I could have their standards still, right? I could have their standard, and I know all the value. I know all the rules. Like I know what not to say, what not to do, and all.
No.
So I'm gonna represent the culture, one to society, so they could. Oh shoot, these guys are good guys, right? And also to Hollywood, and also represent our culture, right, where everybody could be proud. You know what I mean? Like, because at the end of the day, it's a human story that's universal. It's a guy trying to change his life and be a dad. That's the whole world. Every man, at least most are trying to do that. Even if they don't take the steps, at least they wish they could. But this dude just happens to be a homie with the bald head. You know what I mean? But he's got his woman with him right there, pregnant, trying to support him, trying to figure out her best way to guide him.
Was it Bruce Almighty?
What about it?
That you got me on Bruce Almighty?
Maybe. Were you on Bruce Almighty?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I probably did. I was working
in the alley scene.
Oh yeah, you were there too with Noel and Emilio and everybody.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. See, I don't even, dude. I just so many.
I played double for Noel. I think you called me because
like
Noel had to go to something else. So I was the guy running, and I had to lay down in the alley when.
Oh, like a stunt double or body double. Yeah. Oh, dude. See, I don't even remember that. That's cool.
That's a big word, stunt double. But I thought, hey, they paid me, bro.
Yeah,
and because I said one word, I actually get a little. What are they? Royalty check?
Residuals. That's what the strike's fighting for, to keep those residuals coming.
Now, I'm a big union man, so I definitely support them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
and I appreciate that, bro. And I think you got me on 3 CSI Miamis. I did some jail scenes.
Yeah.
What it is I just don't have patience to sit and wait.
Yeah.
And man, sometimes you got to sit and wait.
Yeah.
It's part of the game, though. But one of your interviews I really dug because we tend, and this is not to badmouth the youngsters, but we tend for the youngsters to say, well, what do I got to do to be in the movies?
Yeah.
And you said, as soon as I tell them, take some acting classes, go to your acting classes, and they just like, oh, well, I don't want to do that. You got to put your work in.
Yeah.
You got to put your work in. And this is where I'm telling you, youngsters or anybody that wants to get in acting, what's good about it, there's no age limit.
Yeah,
you could be a baby to a senior citizen.
Absolutely.
But you got to put your work in, guys. You've been around for years. And I've seen you for years. You know what I mean? And you've helped me. You've helped many guys. Everybody knows Suspect. Everybody knows Manny.
Thank you to HDC Construction in Ontario, California. They're a national leader in commercial construction with a proven track record of expertise in cold storage solutions and epoxy flooring. Their team works closely with you to efficiently meet all compliance standards while maintaining budget commitments and completing projects on time. HDC Construction works with Fortune 500 companies and small businesses throughout the country in the areas of steel stud framing, refrigeration panels, dock doors, comprehensive drain systems, fire sprinklers, block walls, and much more. For bids, quotes, or a free consultation, call 909-626-0214 or visit their website at www.hdconstruction.com. Ralph Sarabia and his wife Jody Sarabia are the founders of Putazos. They started Putazos to reach the veteran community who is currently losing 22 vets a day to suicide. Ralph and his unit, 2nd Battalion, 5th Marines, lost over 15 guys while serving in Iraq. He wanted to share with you that whether you fight physical or mental battles, it ain't over yet. With that said, Putazos has developed high-end boxing gloves that have been approved by State Athletic Commission to be in pro fights. If you want a boxing glove that's inspired by patriotism and is battle tested, check them out at putazosfightapparel.com. And just keep in mind that a portion of Putazos proceeds will go to the Semper Fi Fund, which helps wounded warriors. Also, we want to give another shout out to Valley Mission Builders. Valley Mission Builders is a general building company with over 3 generations of construction experience. They specialize in all phases of home construction, new home building, remodeling, room additions, and ADU and guest units. They can assist with planning and designing to complete construction. They service the greater Los Angeles area and Ventura counties, including the San Fernando Valley. Give Valley Mission Builders a call for a free consultation.
Yeah. They might not know your name, but they know Manny.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know that Vato from...
Well, the kid, the lead actor in the Suspect pilot, his name's Frankie Hernandez. That was his first acting gig.
Wow.
He trained, though. He did everything.
There you go, people, he trained.
He trained. He said, I said, dude, get out. I told him, if you do everything I tell you, you will become a working actor. And that's my promise to anybody. Not a movie star. I can't promise the movie star you'll be rich. But if you become a working actor, it's a realistic goal. And I said, you got to get off Instagram. Stop doing skits. Just get in acting class. And I put him in an acting class with a bunch of rich white kids. Because what happens is when you go to an acting class with a bunch of, some people could do it, some can't.
Yeah.
You go to an acting class with a bunch of homies, what happens?
Yeah.
You start partying, you start hanging out, and you
lose your focus.
So I told him, look, bro, you got the 2021 Manny. I'm gonna give you. I learned a lot through this whole thing. Even for me, like if you get in acting class and you focus, and he wasn't good. He did the self tapes. He wasn't good, and he worked, and he was driving 3 hours. He's in the union. Works for the gas company in Santa Maria, and he was driving 3 hours to class.
Oh, that's
Hollywood
a distance
on a Wednesday, and then
driving Santa Maria is that.
Yeah, and then driving 3 hours home. He did that on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and on Saturdays to meet me and work with me. He did that over a year, and he spent a lot of money. And I told him it's going to cost you about this much.
Yeah.
I go, but you will become a working actor. And
he did an awesome job on that.
You know what I mean? And people think like, oh man, he's a natural. Like he ain't a natural. The key of acting, even the word is kind of misleading. Like the whole thing of acting is to make it look so real that it looks like he's a natural. You know what I mean? And that's about being relaxed and all that, but being professional. And that was his first one, bro. Like,
and let's be honest, you don't have to be some drop dead gorgeous vato or girl. You know what? If your heart's in it, just put the work in. Just put the work in. Am I right?
Absolutely. I mean, look at the show Seinfeld. And nobody, all of them, except Elaine's, she's cute, but the Kramer and all them, they kind of funky. Weird. They have character. Let's just say, but they have craft.
Yes,
they have craft.
You're
you know what I mean? And that's the thing. And so and right now's the time, man. Right now's the time. I mean, look at
Raza. I mean, you're opening doors, Manny, and I want to thank you for that. I say you're opening doors. And I don't really see the block. No more.
You look at. I just want to say that just don't also think of just acting though. You got to think of writing. You got to think of producing. If you look at Ben Affleck and Bradley Cooper, they're on these massive movies, acting, writing, directing, producing. Of course, they have a team. Of course, they have all these years. But start off on a smaller scale. Start off on a 3-minute script. You know, right? And direct it, and then do another 5-minute one and a 10 and you don't got to post everything you're doing. You're getting practice. You're getting better. You know what I mean? And next thing you know, like, okay, you might not even want to be an actor. You might want to be a director. But if you are, then you know. So again, those guys, you build your team. We're always looking about chasing who's up there, but look around you, and grow with your team. You know what I mean? But writing healed me too. You know what I mean? Doing the work on myself, marriage counseling, church, and anger management, all these things, it helped me to one, forgive people, to have a forgiving heart, and also to forgive myself. You know what I mean? Because we could carry all that stuff. But then when I started writing too, I'm reliving writing, like my mom and step, they all passed away, and I'm living a lot of those things.
Bringing up a lot of those things,
but it's cathartic, you know. And now it's like I look back, man, my stepdad, he taught me how to be a man. You know what I mean? I love him. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna honor. Look, I didn't honor my parents when they were alive, but I came to the conclusion I could still honor them.
Amen.
You know what I'm saying? And build their legacy. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm here to help anybody. I don't care where anybody's from. I don't care where you come from. If you're willing to work hard, be nice.
That's right.
I mean, that's plain and simple.
Don't come in with a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah, put in the work, just like in the streets. Put in the work, and you will work up. And you know, I'm here to work with everybody. I'm here to serve. I allow people to use me. Straight up.
Well, with that said, I know there's some things that you guys can't talk about because there's clause and all that. But before we get off, what could you tell the fans what's coming next with what you could say?
Well,
I guess,
I could pretty much say, I mean, there's multiple projects in development, a feature film, you know, I got a Boys in the Hood, Bronx Tale Chicano version, you know. I straight up, it's called, it's called, I'll tell you the title too. It's called Where Are You From? The Most Powerful Question in the World. You know what I mean? And it's very authentic to the bone.
Again, you need any fat, ugly vatos, Holmes. I'm right here, Holmes.
No, we're gonna talk because I think I've been hearing your podcast and you've grown so much as a person and as an artist, and that will go into acting.
Or
you know,
boxing referee. I got a fight on DAZN tonight, you know?
And that's what I was chilling on TV. Remember, we hadn't talked for a minute, and I looked and I go, I know that guy. I told my wife, I go, look him up. I found you on Instagram. And I was so proud of you, bro. Dude,
thank you,
yeah, man. You're representing.
And you know what? It goes right back. I'm proud of you, Holmes. I'm proud of you because, again, I'm talking about everybody in general. If you got nothing good to say, this is my opinion. You ain't got nothing good to say, don't say it. But our raza, we got to try to help each other and, you know, and motivate each other. And, you know, again, Manny, when it wasn't popular, you were already helping. And I'm grateful for that, bro. You know
thank you, man. Thank you.
So before we get off, Manny, I just, you know, you want to tell the fans anything, let them know what's up, and just
work on being a good person. Like if you come to Hollywood, think Hollywood's going to solve all your problems. It's not. That's not how that works. You got to work on yourself and decide what you want to do the rest of your life. As soon as you find that purpose, you will be like I wake up passionate, on fire every single day. Of course, I have my moments, like, you know, I'm thinking of my loved ones that passed away. But now it's like I don't get in this real dark depression. I have a moment like I'll be driving and I'll feel like, oh, like I wish I could call my mom and tell these good things. So I have those type of moments, but we got to keep pushing. We make them proud. Make them proud. Like I just man, my mom has this big smile right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we're representing our loved ones because they think about it like this. Because I know we all struggle with this. They wouldn't want us to be here suffering. There's no way they would want us being here suffering, sad and depressed and drinking or doing drugs, just, you know, making our life, you know, just being in misery. So just forgive yourself, move forward, help others, treat everybody you encounter like your favorite celebrity. Think about that. And you can't go wrong. Don't treat people right because you think they're going to help you. Treat people right because they're human beings.
That's right.
And we just got to keep growing, you know what I mean? And we could be proud of where we're from and all that, where we grew up at, but let's move forward. Let's move forward. Let's help each other out. Let's push ourselves as humans, as a culture. And because one person does something crazy, it represents all of us. So just keep that in mind. So,
and the last advice I'm going to ask you to tell the fans, let's just say regular Joe, regular Diane wants to get in acting.
Well, you can hit me up on Instagram. I have a whole step-by-step plan written out. So I answer my DMs. If you just send a DM that says "yo" or "what's up," I'm not gonna answer that. Like I don't have time. But if you answer and you come at, you know, just hey, I want to be an actor. Send me the steps. I'll send them because it's already go. It's a click, and that's the steps that I guarantee work if you do the work. But it's not about Instagram and all showing off. It's about putting in the work behind closed doors. And when you put in the work and you start doing everything what you need to do, people come to you.
There you go.
People come to you. You don't got to chase nobody. Everybody starts coming to you. And that's the thing that I didn't know early on. And that's the thing I know now. Do the work, be nice, and people start coming to you. So Manny Jimenez Sr. on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. I feel that, you know, what it is. It is what it is with being on all that. And Suspect, the series, Yeah, so we just got invited to the East LA Film Festival, October 28th. Yeah, thank you. October 28th, 2023, East LA Civic Center. But just look up East LA Film Festival. And we'll be doing a free screening there for The Suspect, the series. And you'll get to meet Frankie Hernandez, Carla Bonillo, and Nestor Tapia, who are the lead actors.
And you will be there
and I'll be there as well, writer, director, producer, with all the team, all our production team. And then, you know what's a trip? Throughout the years, I was always submitting all my films to film festivals, nothing. And now, it's like I said, we put in the work and they come to us. They reached out and said,
there you go, guys.
Hey.
Proof's in the pudding.
So
right?
I was like, wow, yeah. I was teared up, man. I was like, wow, all right. You know what I mean? But also, I think not only for the art, but who I am as a person, now I'm attracting good people, you know, so. Yeah.
So real quick, one more time. What time? When is it? October?
East LA Film Festival, October 28th. Just I'll have it posted on my Instagram, everything.
And just to cut behind the line in case, this is for anybody.
Yes,
not just
anybody.
Raza.
No, anybody could come. If you want to feel inspired, you have I remember being at an event with Robert Rodriguez. He stayed for everybody. So like when I'm at these events, I make sure that I go and I make time for as many until they kick us out.
Black, white, Chicano, Chinese, anything, guys.
Yeah, if you want to come in, I'll share. You know, I'm gonna share what I've been sharing. Just put in the work, be nice, and I'll guide you. But again, if you don't, I can't write scripts for people. They say I got an idea for a movie. Like if it's a good idea, I'll show you how to write.
I asked to make a movie about me, and I said maybe get a good-looking actor. But my boy said, no, maybe Pee Wee Herman could do it for you. But, that's another note, though, bro. Hey, with that said, guys, I want to thank you, Manny, for coming on, and God willing, you come back again, give us an update. But say goodbye to the fans.
Goodbye, everyone. Thank you for having me.
God bless. Get on YouTube. Subscribe to Third Man in the Ring. Have a blessed day, guys.